Hey everybody, welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Today we are going to do a really fun and simple heat transfer vinyl tutorial using these really cute makeup bags that a lot of people have been finding at the Dollar Tree, but you can find them all over the place. You can actually use this tutorial to do heat transfer on lots and lots of things. So today we are going to make a cute little design, and then I'm going to show you how to apply it and make a really fun gift or something for yourself. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to enter text. And I think what I want my bag to say is the good stuff. Because if any girl knows, makeup is the good stuff. Now, I want to do kind of a cute and curly font because I think that it would look very, very cute on my bag. So I'm going to go into my system fonts and I'm going to find, there's one that I have and I don't know the name of, so you're going to have to bear with me while I scroll for a minute, that I really, really like and I think will look so fun and so cute on this bag. These bags are great. They're called makeup bags, but truthfully, you could use them for just about anything that you want to use them for. There's the one I'm looking for. Oh, that does not work. See, and sometimes you think, oh, that's going to be such a cute font. It's cute. It does not work for this. So we'll just scroll and see if we find something else that we like. I don't think I'm going to like that one. Oof. No, not a fan. Okay, we'll just keep looking. Nope. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to figure out what you like and what kind of look you're going for. I'm probably just going to end up with like watermelon or magnolia sky because those are like my two ultimate favorites, but let's look at watermelon. Let's see if we like it in the words. And it sometimes depends on what words you're using as to what font you're going to use, because like for watermelon, the T makes a big space. I don't really want to mess with it. I'm just going to end up using magnolia sky. So let's just go back to magnolia sky. I'm going to space my letters because I think they're really far apart, but with this font I'm going to end up having to ungroup and space some of them by myself. So first we'll use the letter spacing, which is up here at the top, and we're just going to click the down arrow a few times until most of the letters are touching. But like I said, with this font, I end up having to respace all the time. It's not, that bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. I think that looks pretty good. But what I need to do now is ungroup because I don't like the way some of these are laying. So I'm going to click the ungroup button up here in the upper right hand corner, and what that's going to do is make it possible for me to move my letters around by themselves, because I don't want the T to touch the H and the E because I think that looks weird. I'm probably going to move the S over so that it touches the T. The F's will probably have to be separate because if they touch, they're way too close, but I didn't like how far apart it was. And I might move the F's up a little bit because I don't necessarily love where it's sitting on that U. Once you're happy with the way your letters are laying, and I don't like how big the spaces are, so I'm going to show you guys how to move one whole word without having to move each individual letter. So I think stuff and good are way too far apart, so I'm going to draw a square. You do that by clicking your left mouse button, holding it down, and dragging. You want to make sure that you touch each of your letters, and what that's going to do is make it possible for you to move your entire word by itself without having to move every single letter. And you can do that with the as well. So we're going to move the over just to where I think it looks nice and it's not so spaced out. And the one thing I will say is make sure that you do measure your bag or whatever you're putting your item on. I have not yet, so I'm going to go grab the ruler and we're going to measure our bag. So I know that I'm going to put mine in the white space on my bag. I've got about 7.5 inches wide by 3.5. So I want to go a little bit under 7.5 inches because that's going to be really big. So we're going to draw a square around the entire item again, and we are going to group our letters by up here in the upper right hand. Click group, and then we want to weld our letters. What that's going to do is make it so that it cuts all of our pieces, all of our word, as one single piece, so it basically removes all of your cut lines, and it makes it easier to weed it, and it makes it easier to apply, and it also makes it easier when you're ready to change your sizing. So like I said, I have about 7.5 to work with, so I'm going to go like closer to probably 7, and I know that my height is fine because that's only about 2 inches. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to click Make It. I'm going to show you guys the heat transfer I am using. For little projects like this, I use some really cheap stuff I got off of Amazon. It's actually not bad quality, and I will put a link below. And that way you guys can see, and it's a good way to save money for like these little tiny projects. Things that you're not going to wear, I think this stuff works really well on. Anything you're going to wear, I probably would not recommend this. I've done it on a shirt. It held up pretty well, but it didn't stick as well, and it was a little bit harder to keep it adhered to where I wanted it. So we're going to go ahead and click Make It. I'm going to show you guys how to tell which way to load your HTV, and then we can apply. Okay, we are ready to put our heat transfer vinyl onto a mat, but I want to show you first, make sure that you always put the carrier side down. Everyone says the shiny side, but I don't know how well you can tell in this, but this vinyl is actually shinier on the side that you don't put down. So what I always do, because you're never ever going to end up using the upper corner, is I will peel my upper corner back. I don't know if you can really see that very well, but what I did was I peeled my upper corner just a little bit, just enough to see which side is the carrier sheet, or as some people call it, the transfer. So on this one, I know that the transfer sheet always has to go down on vinyl, on the HTV, every single time. If you don't do that, it's not going to work. It won't cut through. So I know that mine has to go this side down, and I'm just going to lay my whole sheet. I would sometimes cut it, but like I said, this is a small project. I can just trim it off later. The one thing I'm going to show you, and I'll move the camera over because I want you guys to see this, when doing heat transfer, I wanted to show it to you this way because I wanted to show you after you put the vinyl down. You always want to make sure that on your screen, if you look over towards the left-hand side, right where my mouse is circling, that is the mirror. You need to turn this on every time you use iron on, because if you don't, it's going to be backwards and it's not going to work. So make sure you turn your mirror on, and as you see, it flipped on the screen. That's exactly what we want it to do, and we want it to look like that. Now I'm going to take you back over to our machine because I want to show you the settings, because you're going to need to make sure you change your settings. If you look, there right next to your vinyl is iron on. You're going to use that for your plain type of iron on, just like this cheap iron on that I'm using. It's just plain cheap iron on, nothing crazy fancy. So we're going to make sure this is stuck down. I'm going to load this. We are going to hit the go button, and I'll move you guys so you can see. Just going to hit go. And sometimes lately, Design Space has been just a little bit slow with the cutting, so hopefully it will catch up with itself. It doesn't seem like it wants to. I don't understand why this thing is nuts. Apparently it wanted to reset my connection. It likes to do that. I don't know why. If anyone has any clue why yours does that, please let me know. I sometimes think Design Space just has its own little weird quirks, and we just all have to deal with them. So it's going to get ready to cut, and like I said, it's going to mirror it, so you'll see that as it's cutting, it's going to cut the words backwards. I will say every time I cut heat transfer, it sounds really weird. It squeaks and makes all kinds of noise. So I'm going to let this go ahead and cut, and when we are done cutting, I will show you guys weeding, and then we will get to apply it. We are ready to weed, but I wanted to show you, if you look, this is going to be your carrier sheet side, and you can actually see your words cut out, which is exactly what you want to see. I'm going to trim this down because I'm going to save the rest of the HTV for another project. So, we're going to make sure that we can save quite a bit of that because we don't need to waste the HTV. Like I said, this is just the stuff from Amazon, linked below.
I actually really do like it for some of these smaller projects. It works really well. It's going to save you money rather than spending, you know, $20 on a big roll of it when you really maybe you're only going to use this purple once. So let's go ahead and weed this. I'm going to move you guys down a little bit so you can actually see, because this is going to be weeded from the back, and it is very hard to see where your project is. It's not the easiest thing. So what I'm going to do is I always just start at a corner, and I'll just try to kind of work the corner. Sometimes I have to work with my finger a little bit, bending it and twisting it to get it to start coming off of the sticky sheet, which is that clear sheet. Other times, if it won't come off, I will find the edge of a letter, and I will just kind of stick that pick in there. And if you look, it comes right up. And this is actually, a lot of people complain, oh, heat transfer is really hard to weed. I have a heck of a time. You know, I actually really, this stuff, for again, being just cheap off of Amazon, weeds pretty well once you get it going. Getting it going is sometimes the hard part. But once you get it moving, I actually find that it cuts very nicely. And it also seems to, once you get it started, weed pretty clean. You can see that it's already pulling from away from that T. So we're just going to go ahead and, oops, and not pull it up. I accidentally stuck my weeding tool under it, so that was my fault. Now I got to try to fix that. All right, well, this didn't. This is what happens when I say nice things about it, and then I end up screwing it up because I poked it with the weeding tool. So anyway, so we're just going to weed really carefully. A lot of people with this one will use a light box. I don't own one, so that's on my list of wish list items. I will put the one that I am eyeballing and keep thinking about ordering and just haven't yet below. It's from Amazon. It's only going to be about $20, I think, at the most that I've ever seen it. So it's a good price. I've heard lots of great reviews from it. Everybody seems to like it that owns it, so I think it might be, see, and I did it again. I snagged the weeding tool on it. Just be very careful when weeding this stuff. It's going to be like this with any heat transfer. You just need to be careful not to snag it, because unlike, snag that one too, unlike the, and I will say these little tails, they never like to cut, so sometimes you just got to pop them off, and they'll come off. But because the vinyl itself is not sticky, it's this part that is sticky. When it pops off, sometimes you just got to be a little bit more careful. But let me get finished weeding this. Like I said, the link below for the light box. There's a link below for this vinyl. And then we'll get ready to apply, and I'll show you my iron because I don't have a heat press. And I feel like a lot of these YouTube videos, they show you these with a heat press, and then everyone's like, but I don't have a heat press. How do I do it? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it when you don't have a heat press. So I'll show you my iron, and I will show you my settings on the iron, and then we can get this applied. Okay, so like I said, do not have a heat press. I have an iron. It is a cheap Black & Decker's steam iron, which I never put water in because you don't ever use steam when you're doing a heat transfer iron on vinyl. So it's pretty simple, easy to use iron. And the settings are right here. And for this one, I have it set all the way to cotton. I've looked online a couple times, and everyone says the cotton setting works best on these makeup bags. So this is our makeup bag. I've placed our decal where we want to put it. And if you don't like your placement, the beauty with this is you just peel it up and you just stick it somewhere else. So if I wanted it down here, which actually I don't hate, but I think I'm going to put it up here, you just stick it on and kind of wipe it down a little bit. And then I put a piece of parchment paper, which you can get at the Dollar Tree, on Amazon. I'll put a link below for the kind I bought on Amazon. And you just put that on there, and then with your with your iron, and I'm going to move you up a little bit because my iron cord's a little bit short, and I'm going to try to keep this cord out of the way. Got you guys plugged into the wall today. You are going to place your iron directly on where your decal is and press. You're going to need to use quite a bit of pressure. If any of you have picked up a easy press, it's a lot heavier than an iron. So I like to try to put a lot of weight behind my iron, and you're gonna wait about 30 seconds. With this fabric, I'm gonna just check it and make sure that it's not burning. And it's okay to do that. So you can just look, make sure, okay, it looks fine. I will tell you there is a metal zipper on here. So you're gonna wanna be very, very careful when you touch it, because if your iron is touching your metal zipper, you will burn your hand, because that metal zipper is gonna get very, very hot. So please, anytime you are using HTV, just be careful, because it does tend to get kind of warm. Also, make sure that you are not rubbing your iron. You just want straight up and down pressings. You don't want to like rub it back and forth. You just want a straight up and down motion. I can see where people think, oh, it's an iron, so you just automatically rub. Don't do that. It will slide your product. Now, depending on the color with this stuff from Amazon, it depends on if I'm going to peel it hot or cold. You can see that it's not stuck right here. So if you find spots that aren't stuck, just go back over it with your iron. When I go back over it the second time, I tend not to use the parchment, because I think it's okay. It doesn't seem to burn anything. It just gives it a little extra heat directly to the project. If I'm just doing like a quick to make sure that it's stuck, it just doesn't seem to make a big difference. Yeah, see, this one's not sticking so great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the iron directly to this one instead of putting that parchment paper between, and I think I'm going to give it a little bit of extra time, because there are some spots that are not sticking on this. I have had a lot of people say it's just because of the fabric on this, which I totally understand. It's like almost like a suede. Obviously, it's from the dollar store, so it's not real suede, but it's a suede style fabric. Anytime you do this, just watch out for like seams. Like here we have a seam, so I know that I need to press hard to get it around that seam. So I'm gonna take a look and see how it's stuck now. I'm gonna try going from this side this time and see how this side's sticking. Seems to be sticking kind of well. So I know that I need to put a little bit more pressure. I'm probably not pressing hard enough, because I'm doing this at kind of an awkward angle, because I have a camera sitting next to me. Normally I can put almost my whole body onto it, just to make sure that it really does get a lot of pressure. The pressure is really what makes a big, huge difference when you are doing these heat projects. The more pressure with the iron, the better off you're going to be as far as it staying on. You can see I put a lot of pressure here in the center, and it seems to be holding pretty well. The edges are usually the hardest for me, because it's hard to get that pressure directly on that edge. Yep, like that F, you can see it did not want to stick, but you look, it's because it's right on this edge. If that happens, just take your carrier sheet, place it over the spot that you want to make sure that you repress. And I'm going to actually go this direction, and I'm just going to kind of use the tip, just so it's not touching the rest of my project too much. And I'm just going to make sure that I am pressing that F. Again, not rubbing, just lightly tapping him as I go, because he was stuck before. Again, a lot of it really does seem to be just the type of fabric that this is. I've had a lot of people say they have issues with it. So here we go. Again, be careful that, that is warm. That zipper is going to be hot. But here you go. Here is your finished project. I hope you guys learned a lot from my HTV makeup bag tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave them down below for me. I am always happy to answer your questions. If you have any tutorials you would like help with, also put that below. I am more than happy to make some tutorials for you guys. Make sure you do subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos all the time. And hit that little bell button down the bottom, because when you hit that, it's going to alert you when I post a new video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.